You're back with Aftermatch. The answer to this week's trivia question: how many times the National Rowing Championship's been held in Southland? Twice, 1923 in Bluff, 1956 in Invercargill. Time for this week's rugby profile. Shaun Summersfield tells me it's about flatmates and flooded laundries. He caught up with Glenn Stanton.
Well, last week we got to meet Marty Brook, the week before Mike Edwards. Now, the flat's still going all right, we've found out, where these, well, 3 New Southlanders are living, but we found out the latest this week is you've had a minor flood in the house, Glenn. What's the story there?
Yeah, it sounds terrible, doesn't it? Boys can't even do their own washing. Apparently a plug got left in the sink while we were at the gym and flooded the house out.
The guilty party?
Well, it's not me. It's one of those two, mate, and judge for yourself.
Well, I got told a couple of weeks ago by Mike that he ends up doing most of the work, being the small fellow. I mean, you being 2 metres tall, him being what, about 175?
Hardly. I mean, he's the last out of bed and first in at night, you know. So I don't know where he gets at. Spends most of the time sitting at home playing the PlayStation. So
don't blame him. Love the game. Hey, now a few weeks ago you had to play against your old teammates against King Country. It was a close call, I guess. You were here in '95. You know what happened then. What was going through your head?
Oh, I'd been pulled in the last 5-10 minutes of that game, so of this game just gone. So it was quite nerve-wracking sitting on the sideline and sort of watching it as if we hadn't even moved as of 2 years ago. You know, it was quite scary. It was just really just a bad day for the whole side. You know, it's over and done with now, thankfully. I was pleased to get that game in particular out of the way really early, because it was one that's not particularly good to play, especially when you've only just left the union like 6 months prior. So,
what was the feeling about you leaving? Did they take it with a grain of salt?
Nah, they were pretty cool. They were pretty cool about it. They're a good bunch of guys there. I mean, they've been pretty much devastated this year, and there's really not much you can do about it now. If unions are prepared to pay for players to come in, pay those transfer fees, well then there's the unions that have got the players can't hold them, which is good for us, and it's good for the unions that are financially strong. It's a little bit sad for the weaker unions, but then they do make money out of it. If they're losing a good player, they get reimbursed for it, so you know they can pick someone else up along the line later on.
Yeah, I was a bit concerned last couple of weeks. I mean, Marty's been in Japan and he comes from Auckland. Both have a tremendous amount of rain in certain times of the year. In fact, Auckland every flaming day. Mike comes from Wellington, where it's windier than here, just. I mean, all these complaints about the weather. Now, I understand you've been to places where the weather's on a par with this.
Yeah, the weather doesn't faze me too much. If you're prepared for it, well then it's not a problem. I've spent time overseas in the Republic of Ireland, in Belfast itself, the valleys in Wales, playing the season over there, and even in Spain as well, and plenty of snow there. So, I mean, the colder weather, it doesn't really faze me. If you've got the right gear, it's not a problem.
Almost makes you a bloody journeyman of rugby.
Yes, I've had probably more clubs than Jack Nicklaus actually, but oh no, I enjoy the game. I've only really been serious about it probably for about the last 4 years, and prior to that I was just enjoying myself, getting free trips around the world, but going away and having a good time.
What do you think the main reason is for that? Is the fact that you're 2 metres tall kind of gets you noticed?
Yeah, I think there's I mean, it's a noted shortage around the world, that there's a shortage of type 5 forwards, and now in New Zealand in particular there's probably more of a shortage in loose forwards, strangely enough, at the top level. But there's always clubs or provinces or countries looking out for second rowers, you know. I mean, right now UK is the place to go. I mean, there's a lot of money being spent on players over there, and if you're fortunate enough to have ties over there, you know, it's the place to go.
And I asked the other guys over the last fortnight what their major goal was this year playing for Southland. What's yours?
I mean, my major goal would be to make the playing 15. And if I make the playing 15, well then, you know, I go on from there and hope we have a really successful season. I mean, there's no reason why we can't do it. There's a great depth of talent here now, and you know, it's a bit uncomfortable coming in a situation like this, because you're always going to displace someone, or you're going to put pressure on other people and they might not respond to it, or if they do respond to it and they respond to it well, you could get egg on your face and not make it yourself. So it's from a competitive side of things within the team, it's good to have this sort of setup here. And as for the team itself, well, that can only be healthy then, and it just spurs the guys to go on even further, you know. The key to NPC rugby now, or to top level rugby, is having good depth in reserves as well. I mean, there are a lot of teams, particularly King Country the last couple of years, where we've had a good starting 15 and just really nothing to come off the bench. It's been a little bit disappointing. So, you know, the last 20 minutes you lose someone, you know, it counts if you can have someone of comparable ability to come on and take over and slot straight in.
And don't forget,